Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Becky Sechre. I hope you're doing well. Anyway, if this is the first time you've come across my channel, please remember to like, subscribe and share as well. So on this channel, I give tips and advice to overseas nurses who are planning to relocate to the UK to work as nurses, or those who are already here and they want information as to how to develop professionally. So I just give tips and advice to help you. I do not work for any immigration or recruitment agency in the UK. I only give tips, and these tips are to help you on your journey, either in the UK or for those of you who are planning to come. Anyway, so today I've just decided to create a very simple video because I have had people asking me, I want to come and work in the UK as a nurse. Can you help me? So this is for those who are back home and are still thinking of relocating to the UK to work as nurses, or those of you who are in the UK and have got friends and families who have been asking you to help them to relocate and come and work as nurses in the UK. So these are just very basic steps that you can follow to help you if you want to move or relocate or migrate to the UK to work as a nurse. Now, to start the process, first of all, you need a passport. Anyway, without a passport, you can't do anything. You can't relocate. And you have to do very basic things before you actually ask someone to help you. So what are some of the basic things? So first of all, I'm going to talk about the entry requirement to register as a nurse in the UK from overseas. So first of all, you must be a nurse practicing in your home country with at least 1 year post-registration experience. That is very important. Apart from that, in order to enter the UK NMC register, you must be prepared to enter as a nurse in adult, so either adult nursing. So I entered as an adult nurse, or as a child nurse if you have children's nursing qualification in your country, or as a learning disability nurse, or as a mental health nurse. So when you're applying on the NMC register, some of the questions you would need to answer would be, are you a registered nurse? And the branches are adult, children, learning disability, or mental health. Or you're registering as a midwife. Okay, so nursing wise, adult, child, learning disability, or mental health, or as a midwife. Okay, and then how do you even start? So if you have met those entry requirements, the next stage would be go on Google. Google has a lot of information, a lot of good advice and information, and sometimes you find some dodgy information as well. Anyway, but let's go for the good one. So Google UK NMC and go to the website. And if you want to register from abroad like Ghana, Nigeria, Philippines, or any India or any other part of the world, you're going to be searching for register as a nurse or midwife trained outside of the UK. That is, if you have trained outside of the UK or EU or EEA. So there's a different process. After Brexit, there is a different registration process for nurses who have trained in the EU and EEA. And there is a different process for those of us who have trained and practiced outside of the UK or EEA or EU. Anyway, so when you go on that link, you need to complete the pre-application checklist. So that will tell you are ready to start your application, and then you can create an NMC online registration account. When you do that, you will be asked to submit some, qualification and registration requirement and evidence of your ID and all those things. So you would need to do all those things. And then the next stage would be you're going to be needing to do test of competence. There are 2 tests of competence. One of them is CBT, which is computer-based test, which you would do in your own country. And then the other aspect is the OSCE, which is more or less like getting to the final stages when you come, or you have to come to the UK to complete your OSCE test. Anyway, so let's not go there yet. So you need to do your CBT, and then after that, you're going to be required to provide evidence of English language requirement. Now, as most of you might have heard already, the UK NMC has done an extensive consultation on the language requirement for overseas trained nurses, and they have come up with a few proposals which would be implemented in January 2023. So those of you who are planning to start your application now or in January 2023 onwards, you would be lucky enough to fulfill the new requirement. For those of you who are already in the process, then you would have to stick to the current English language requirement. It's still going to be you writing IELTS or OET. If you're doing IELTS, they require overall score of 7, and you should get at least 6.5 in writing, and then you should get 7 in reading, listening, and speaking. If you're doing OET, then you should get at least C+, so you need C+ in writing and at least B in reading, listening, and speaking. So that is the current requirement. Now let's look at what the proposals are and what you would be required to provide if you are starting from next year, 2023. So the NMC proposals, I'm going to just be looking on my list, so just bear with me. So with the NMC proposals, they are proposing to standardize the minimum score when you are combining results. They also want to actually give or extend the period between which you can combine 2 scores. So previously, you should combine 2 scores or English language test scores within 6 months. So you should have written the 2 within 6 months, but now they want to extend that to at least 12 months. So you are being given enough time to rewrite in order to submit 2 test scores. Or they also want to be able to enable employers to provide supporting evidence of English language proficiency for applicants who have trained in English in a country where English is not majority spoken language. So let's say you are coming from Ghana or Nigeria or Philippines. Yes, English is not our main language, but we train in English. So they might be able to ask your employer to provide English language proficiency to say that, you speak good English enough to practice in English. I have trained in Ghana. I have not written IELTS or all those things. During my time, it wasn't a requirement, and I speak a very good English. So, your employer might be able to say, yes, you are very good at English and you can work safely and, interact safely in English with patients. Or this may apply to people who have actually narrowly missed passing the English language test. The third proposal is whether to accept a postgraduate qualification which has been taught and examined in English. And as I said, these new proposals would be implemented sometime January 2023. So just watch out. Those of you who can wait, you can wait and do that. And those of you who cannot wait and you want to start, then you'd have to follow the current requirement, which is scoring either overall 7, which I've already talked about. So another requirement would be providing evidence of health and character, or providing health and character evidence. You would need to also provide professional indemnity arrangements. That one, you don't worry about it, because if you get a job in the UK, your employer would be responsible in providing you with indemnity sort of thing. Sometimes some unions also do cover their members. Now, what are the stages that NMC would, procedure or process follow? So the first stage, as I already mentioned briefly, would be check you are ready to apply by completing your, pre-application checklist. And then the next stage would be they make sure you complete your eligibility and qualification application. The third process would be taking your test of competence, which I talked about. There are 2, CBT and OSCE. And then you complete your registration application, and then NMC will now evaluate your application. So when you get to a point where you've submitted your English, you have completed your CBT and you have passed, then you can start asking your friends who are here to help you get a job, because at that point you'll get a decision letter from NMC to find an employer in the UK to come and complete your OSCE, and then you complete your registration. So at that point you can ask people to help you. But without doing all these things, if you're asking me to help you, or you're asking your friend who has migrated to the UK to help you to come, there is not much they can do. So as I said, you need to do the basic things yourself. And then when you get to the point where you've got your decision letter and you want to find a job, or actually if you get to the middle of your process, then you can start asking them to help you. Otherwise, if they're not able to help, then you start thinking, oh, they have gone there, they don't want to help me, or you are there and you don't want to help me. There is only much people can do. They can't do it for you. You have to do most of the things yourself. And then when you get to the stage where you need to start finding a job, if you ask them, then they will be able to help you. Anyway, how much does it cost? So let's say you've gone through everything, you sailed through very, very well without having to rewrite any of the tests along the way. In total, it would cost you about £1,000 and £1,170 in total, £1,170. So you can convert that into your own money and see how much that is. But if you fail some of the tests along the way, then it means it's going to increase. And this amount of money has nothing to do with your flight or anything else. So just bear that in mind. The second route people can look at might be you have a diploma in nursing in your home country, you have all the experience in nursing, you haven't got a degree. There is a top-up degree with NMC registration you can do in the UK. That is expensive. It's a 1-year course. I've done a video about that, about top-up degree in the UK. You can look into that, and if you wish to go through that route, then you can do that as well. So you do the top-up degree in the UK, you complete it, and then you can register as a nurse. The next option, which a lot of people used or are still using currently in recent years, where UK started recruiting a lot of care assistants, senior carers, and support workers, is people going through the route of relocating. They are trained nurses and they are relocating to the UK as healthcare assistants or senior carers or care assistants, in a hope that after working for a couple of months or a year or so, they can transition to become nurses. That is not a process I personally would advise or recommend to somebody. If you're already a nurse, I would encourage you to, go through the NMC process, regardless of how difficult or how long it would be. I would rather you come as a nurse rather than through the healthcare assistant route. But once again, it is personal choice. For some people, they prefer that. The difficulty with that is that, if you're coming as a nurse, you don't have to pay any agency to get here. But with care assistant, senior carer, and all those things, it's become very expensive. Yes, I know people who have come through that route. They have been in touch with me. They've been watching my videos, and if you're one of them, you're welcome to the UK once again anyway. So they have come through that route, but that can lead to a bit of frustration. Apart from that, it is very expensive. I heard some agencies are charging between £5,000 to £12,000 in order to recruit people from overseas into the UK. That is just too expensive. If I have that amount of money in my home country, I wouldn't come, because one thing is that you would come as a nurse and you're doing care assistant jobs. Yes, it's the same as, caring for people, but it can be frustrating because you are not using a lot more of your nursing skills. You would use some of them, and the job satisfaction, you will feel, okay, I'm a nurse. Ideally, I should be earning this amount of money, but you are earning a lesser amount of money because you're not working as a nurse. Nurses are paid as band 5. As a care assistant, you might be paid as band 2, band 3. It depends on where you are. They are mostly private, and so your employers would offer you what they feel they would offer you. So far as they meet the home office requirement for those sort of jobs, I'm sure you would be fine. But I would not recommend that personally. Once again, as I said, it's personal choice. It has become very expensive. It has become very difficult. And if you want to come as a care assistant, all you need to do, yes, you still have to write IELTS, but the type you need to write is the UKVI IELTS academic or general skills, and you would need to score 4 or above. Whereas as a nurse, you would need to do OET, or you have to do IELTS academic, and you need to score 7 and above. So that's the difference. So it's easier to pass the English test as a carer than as a nurse. But once again, as I said, NMC is introducing changes in January, so you can easily go through that. So anyway, let's come back to care assistant job. So you do your English test, you submit your, you find a job, submit all the requirement that you need to your employer. They offer you a job. They give you COS, which is certificate of sponsorship. You apply for your resident permit, and you are in the UK. Yeah, it sounds straightforward, but as I said, it has become very difficult these days to come through as care assistant. It has become very expensive as well. And if you're earning care assistant money, if you're on your own, you'll be able to manage. Accommodation has become very expensive. Somebody contacted me recently trying to get an accommodation somewhere in the UK, a 2-bedroom house for him and his family. He's getting a place which is very far from work, which is costing about £900 a month, and another one about 1,200 and something. This accommodation is not furnished, so you have to buy things to furnish your own accommodation. In addition to that, you have to pay council tax, and council tax could be from £1,500 a year, which is divided over 12 months. So every household, you have to pay council tax. Apart from that, you'd be paying your gas, you'd be paying your electricity, you've been paying for your TV, you'd be paying for water, you pay TV license. If you have internet in your home, you pay for that. So before you know it, all your money goes back into the system. If you've come with your partner, I did a video of why you should not come with your family. If you're new, I would never encourage anybody to come straight on the first day you're starting your job, you're moving to a different country with your family. Personal advice anyway, because it is difficult. I ideally would say let your family stay back home, come on your own, work for 1 month, at least up to 2 months, and then earn a bit of money, find a good accommodation and bring them, rather than rushing, coming with them, and you come through all sorts of difficulties and you actually regret sometimes. Sometimes you have family that would say, I'll help you, they can stay with me. You stay with them, after 1 week, 2 weeks, they become fed up with you and they start showing you all sorts of attitude, and you start having conflict. You would not believe that this is a family member. The life in the UK is different. It is difficult. You come and live with people. Before you know, you start having little fight, quarrels, and so you have to be careful when you're moving. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please remember to share, like, subscribe as well. And I hope it has been helpful. Whichever route you decide to take, it is up to you. It's your personal choice. And I just wish you all the best in your plans and in your journey. Anyway, take care and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.